Now, the short-lived television news career of SOMMIE Maduagwu covered many reporting, producing and presenting assignments. In that space of time, she had also become a familiar face to millions, anchoring some of Arise TV's news programs across the evening schedules and becoming a close friend to many of her admiring colleagues as she carried out her duties most professionally. Her philosophy was that if you worked hard enough, you'll get what you want. For more, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise senior correspondent, in fact, he's chief of correspondence, Ferdinand Traore. Good to see you, Ferdinand.
Thanks so much,
First of all, what's the latest update on the police investigation into her death?
All right, well, just a couple of hours ago, well, we had the Commissioner of Police in the office here. He came in to commiserate with the Arise team and, of course, promised that they were going to do due diligence in terms of investigation. And, of course, Charles, when an investigation is ongoing, you want to say the police would want to keep some of the findings to themselves in terms of not wanting to compromise evidence and, of course, not wanting to give the, those out there, the perpetrators of the crime, some lead, to know exactly what they are following up on. But then we are trusting the presidency has come out with very strong words saying that they must ensure that they unearth, the attackers. And I want to believe that that's strong enough for any security agency in the country to get to work and, of course, do the best that they can.
And of course, you mentioned the president. Their tributes have been pouring in from across the country, from no less a figure than the president of Nigeria himself, Bola Tinubu, as well as the First Lady.
True. Now we've seen a whole lot of them. In fact, well, just in the newsroom, just behind us, well, the Senator of the Federal Republic, Ibrahim, is in there now signing the condolence register. So also we've seen a whole lot of them coming in, and that's because without a doubt we know exactly how much impact Arise News has. And then for SOMMIE, who is also a very regular face, and if there's something that she's actually stood for, she was actually the correspondent on the desk for covering women and children activities. Well, on her own, she also has her foundation, which she carried over from her pageantry days, and we learned that she's indeed paying fees for as much as 40 children, within the FCT. So you see exactly that she's a philanthropist without a doubt. So that's the personality that we are talking about, and so we thank everybody for coming in to identify with the situation. But it's also important that this is when we begin to ask the right questions about the security situation, questions about the emergency services, questions about, contracts. In other words, well, if I have a contract with you at a facility, to provide these services, are you providing these services? Because it's some of the complaints that we hear on that night when the robbery when the attack took place. There was no power. The neighbors in the compound say they actually pay services for power. The CCTV is not working. The inverter not even working. The security guys complained that their phones were not even powered on to reach, the police. They use intercom to communicate to some person. Some persons also said they tried to reach the police, and then the numbers were not reachable. The police themselves, from when they heard to the point that they came, how long did it take in terms of our response services? Now, these are the questions that Nigerians are asking, and that's because beyond SOMMIE, there are millions of other Nigerians across the country who also might be in need of these essential services. And then also when we get to the hospitals, how exactly do the hospitals take care of emergency situations?
Those are very important points that you raised there. And just returning to her as a person, you talked about her philanthropy, you talked about her on the catwalk, you talked about her as obviously a credible television news anchor. I mean, she was quite young when she came into broadcast journalism not too long ago. I mean, what qualities, you knew her quite well. What qualities did she have that made her a success in so short a time?
Well, as the chief of correspondence, I had the honor and privilege of indeed supervising her daily activities on the reportorial beat, and like I've said, a very passionate person, a go-getter, delectable, intelligent, resourceful. Now you take a look at the areas that she has spanned through, the kind of careers that she's done. You don't go from being a lawyer to, walking the runway in pageantry, and then also, carry on with philanthropy work, and then you go to the media. Now it tells you that this is a daring personality. This is somebody, an achiever, who is not just contented with, doing one thing, and then from here she achieves, she moves on to the next one, makes the goal count, and then moves on to the next one. Well, when she passed, she was with her eyes. We don't know exactly what she will be doing next. But then her last report was on the women's bill, which she pursued vigorously. I remember her telling me about it for a week, reminding me that, yes, come on, a couple, millions of women are going to get together to, make that stake, that claim for reserved seats for women in the National Assembly. And she pursued it vigorously, put out one of the best reports, invited some very great guests, the United Nations country women's representative and all that. So it just tells you, how industrious she is on the beat and the kind of go-getter that she is.
Ferdinand, thank you very much indeed, and do keep us updated with all the developments. I know you're across them. Ferdinand is Arise Chief of Correspondence.
What do you have to say concerning this video? Please drop your opinion in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and others will know your opinion. For more videos, upload, or news like this, please hit the like button to support this channel. Subscribe and make sure that you turn on the bell so that anytime I publish a new video, you will get notification. See you in my next upload. Bye.